Alright, let's talk about a manga that is so polarizing, so messed up, and so relentlessly weird that the entire internet is completely torn on it. You either love it or you absolutely hate it. I'm talking about Hiroya Oku's 10-volume spectacle Gigant, or Gigant, or how you want to pronounce it. I'm calling it Gigant. If you know Oku from his landmark series Gantz, you already know that he pushes the boundaries with extreme action, controversy, and a sci-fi horror. But Gigant? This might be the wildest ride he's ever put us on. The premise sounds like a fever dream. Our protagonist is Shiho Johansson, who goes by the stage name Papico, a 24-year-old adult film actress. Early on, we see her life is already complicated and transactional. She deals with an abusive boyfriend and a family that only hits her up when they need money. Then the sci-fi drops. Papico finds an injured old man who slaps an irremovable device onto her wrist before turning into a doll. This device gives her the Gigant power, the ability to grow into an actual building-sized giant. But here's the Oku twist. Every time she grows, her clothes instantly rip away, leaving her large and totally exposed. This forced, non-consensual exposure immediately escalates her celebrity status into a global spectacle. Now, for the antagonists, and this is where the satire gets razor sharp, the global threat is controlled by two artificial intelligences named Socrates and Plato. Yes, those philosophers, who run a website called Enjoy the End. Their goal is to understand humanity. How do they do this? By letting anonymous internet users vote on proposed events, no matter how destructive or absurd. Whatever wins the vote becomes reality, causing everything from random earthquakes to a rain of excrement. Papico, alongside high school student and aspiring filmmaker Rei Yoko Yamada, suddenly becomes Tokyo's only very reluctant and very exposed protector. What Gigant absolutely nails is its social commentary. Oku uses the Enjoy the End website to deliver a devastating critique of digital culture and mass voyeurism. It's his diagnosis of the contemporary digital collective. When given consequence-free power, consensus leans towards the sinful and deranged. The whole manga is a dark mirror held up to celebrity culture, asking, what if the world's most scrutinized person suddenly became the world's biggest object of scrutiny? Despite the confusing parts, I found this story compulsively readable. Like his past works, Oku has this unique, horrifying lens that makes even the most absurd concepts compelling. I flew through the whole series in a couple of nights because I just had to know what terrifying twist was coming next. Now, let's get into why this manga is so divisive. I have three main points of criticism. First, the art style. Oku is a pioneer in using digital processing, and Gigant relies heavily on CGI and what looks like filtered photographs. On one hand, it gives the absurd situations like a giant naked woman fighting a monster this unsettling hyper-realistic gravity. But on the other, many readers, including me sometimes, find this style detached and aesthetically unpleasing. It's polarizing, and you need to know going in that this does not look like traditional manga. Second is the pacing. This series suffers from Oku's lack of focus in creating absurd stories. The narrative is turbulent and can feel a little confusing, especially in the early volumes, as the plot jumps from body horror to social media critique to time travelers. And then third, the Rei and Shiho relationship. This is, ethically, the most challenging part of the entire series. The relationship that develops between the underaged high schooler Rei and the 24-year-old Papico is intentionally portrayed as morally inappropriate. Oku uses their coupling as a vehicle to critique society's flawed ethical norms, showing their connection as superficial and transactional. She feels needed and he is focused on her physical traits. What really frustrated me and many other readers was the ending. The final resolution felt underwhelming because it affirms this questionable relationship, denying the reader the traditional moral closure we usually seek. It's Oku's final cynical statement, but it makes for a deeply dissatisfying ending to the story. So, should you read Gigant? I recommend this exclusively to readers who love the raw, unfiltered intensity of Gantz. If you are looking for a wild, chaotic sci-fi ride and you are interested in a dark, uncompromising social satire on celebrity, digital nihilism, and mass voyeurism, then yes, dive in. You must have a high tolerance for controversial and graphic content. If you prefer tight, focused narratives, or if you are a fan of Oku's more restrained and traditional hero narrative in Inuyashiki, you might want to skip this one. Gigant is a work that intentionally polarizes its audience, ensuring that even its flaws are part of its statement on a broken digital world. So that's my take on it. I'll see you in the next video.